looking a little dark in Casa de EMac. We're looking at some Florida condos here. Some spendy real estate down there. And my wife wants to do something, so I'm ready. All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday. Team Eric is back in effect. I'm joined by Eric Lindquist and we've got a 7-game slate. We've got 59 minutes. We're going to jump right into it. So hit that like button. We appreciate all of you being here on a Sunday. We are brought to you by No House Advantage. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about how you can get 30 free days of Stokastic Premium via BetMGM. And we've got some fun with the lineup builder. But let's just jump right in here. Eric, we're going to go game by game, but I think the overarching thing we got to talk about is Tyus Jones, 3,100 on DraftKings. He's in the last game of the night. Lowest price of the season, 6,000 on FanDuel. They got ahead of that. Of course, their single game slate. You know who they had a price this afternoon at 6,000? Steph Curry, because FanDuel.
Oh my God.
FanDuel. No Metu talk today. It's all going to be Tyus Jones.
Thank
and then
God.
over on Yahoo, he's $20. I think you just play Tyus Jones across the board. It's a little bit more of a conversation on those other spots, but he's still one of the better plays of the day. And then we just basically got an unlimited value with some back-to-backs here. Anything you want to say about Tyus Jones, or shall we just jump right in here?
You lock him. You just play 100% of him. That's one spot. I have 7 spots that I'm going to be rotating in lineups, but he projects for 30 plus points. He projects for 10x. I mean, what do you want me to say? He's just a lock. You put him in your lineups. If you want to get cute, if you think Tyus Jones gets hurt, if you think Tyus Jones gets ejected, if you think Tyus Jones doesn't show up at the stadium, sweet. But your lineup should come preloaded with him on DK.
That's exactly what I wrote in my article today, the DFS building blocks article. I said, you may as well have lineups preloaded with Tyus Jones. All right, let's get on to the rest of the slate. We're going to start off here with the Charlotte Hornets. They are 8-point underdogs in Brooklyn, taking on the Nets. 227.5 implied point total here. Of course, Ball is out. PJ Washington back after missing 1 game with an ankle injury. From the Brooklyn side, Ben Simmons has been ruled out basically for the next 10 days at least. Edmund Sumner is out with personal reasons, and Yuta Watanabe was dealing with a sore back. Did we get confirmation on him? He's still questionable. So this one, semi-intriguing a little bit here if you're going to look for wagering, and we like to do that. I like the Cameron Johnson. I was able to get 24.5 PRA on him, points, rebounds, plus assists. It's a good one. You can also, I took his over on, I believe it was points on, well, I did a certain other site, but it's on No House Advantage as well.
Beautiful.
We don't have that in Virginia, but I keep tabs on it over there. Take us through the game. What do we got here? Nick Claxton looks like he should get a double-double. Mark Williams looks like he should get a double-double. Let's start there.
Yeah, we'll start. You want to start on the Brooklyn side? Is that what you want to do?
We'll do visiting and then home. I backed myself around.
That's okay.
there.
Yeah, going to Charlotte, Kelly Oubre is really the only must-have intriguing piece. He's at 25%. Again, must-have is probably something that should come with quotation marks here, but the guy's played 38 and 41 minutes now the last 2 games. They're giving very little run, 0 run to any other person in the backcourt there at the shooting guard spot, playing at the 2. They have Dennis Smith Jr. coming and backing up Terry Rozier here in this spot. We've seen him play 32, 26, 21 minutes in the absence of Lonzo Ball. So LaMelo Ball, sorry. But either way, Kelly Oubre with the multi-positional eligibility, shooting guard, small forward, he makes it just intriguing to get into lineups. This is a high upside option. Anytime somebody who's sub 7K can get you 50, they're going to be intriguing no matter what is going on the slate. Now, he is not, like the stars and scrubs build. We have so many pieces from the Magic we're going to talk about. We have so many pieces later on, obviously, from Memphis. So we got to look at it as opportunity cost on this first slate of games, what we want to do. But the Orlando side is going to eat up a majority of people's ownership. So getting to some Kelly Oubre, who is going to be a far more popular piece of the slate before that news, I think he makes sense if he's going to be sub 25%.
Right. Yeah, Oubre looked pretty good in the last one. He missed quite a bit of time there, but he's in the perfect situation. A team that's in decaf mode because he's permanently in decaf mode. So I kind of miss having him on the Washington Wizards. He's had a nomadic existence since leaving the Wizards.
So nomadic
played for a few teams. Played for a few teams here.
What do you think about Mark Williams here? This is the only other guy that I have really any interest in. 6,300. It's not all that intriguing. But he's been playing the majority share, 28, 30 minutes. Anytime you get a center, 6,300, You get that matchup with Claxton. He's nearly a 1.2 fantasy point per minute producer. It's just that when you compare anybody to Bassey, when you compare, they just look ridiculously poor. Now Mo Wagner's 3,400. Everybody pales in comparison to those cheap centers, and then Nicholas Claxton on the other side. But what do you think about Mark Williams?
So I went back and forth. You can get his, I like his over it on points. I think it was 11.5 at No House Advantage. That was the one I was looking at. I wanted to go over 9.5 rebounds. I think that's still a solid one, but I started looking through his game logs, and his rebounding rate wasn't quite what I thought it would be. So I felt, since you can't do combos there, or at least not for that particular player, I was leaning towards the points. I did on some other sites take 9.5 rebounds for him, but that's I was not getting to enough of him in DFS, the DFS world. So I landed that way, especially with Bassey in the picture now. So I landed on that with how I want to take advantage of him. And then similarly, I went with Claxton in similar prop wagers as well.
Yeah, and I think Claxton, we're going to see that ownership come down on him quite a bit, and we haven't projected much higher than just about anybody else in the industry today. I'm more to agree with our side of it. I definitely think if you look at low 30s minutes for Nicholas Claxton, 31, 32 minutes, he just looks like a smash play. But you have to compare everybody now to Bassey, Mo Wagner builds, and it's so hard to get away from that. Mo Wagner, 3,400 over a fantasy point per minute on the other side. A lot of people's lineups is you move up in stakes, it's going to be like 75% Bassey, 65% Mo Wagner, Tyus Jones, and then just stars and scrubs. So enjoy those beating those builds. Like, you're really going to need some major upside games from Claxton, from Mark Williams, from any other center. Walker Kessler, somebody that I think is going to be really low owned too. Those are the kind of darts I'm looking to take. Guys who could just go for 40. And if those guys just, put up a meandering 25, 30, you maybe still have a chance to outperform them.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to hit on here? Little Cam Johnson. Where did Bridges get this whole offensive game?
I think he probably always had it.
It's hard to like some of these guys because now we have so much value. Now we're going to be going up one level up with the studs, and so these guys are kind of getting lost in the mix. But that just, as you pointed out, makes them somewhat underutilized in tournaments. So anything else you want to hit on here? Yeah,
I'll say Cameron Johnson. I'm on board with that one. I think having the small forward, power forward eligibility, sub 16%, looks pretty darn good as a tournament option here. Again, anything you're going to get in that mid-range, I want to see some expressed upside. Like there has to be that 40 plus upside there. And he hasn't shot it particularly well outside of that New York Knicks game where he shot it really, really well. 13 of 18, 7 for 11 from 3. He's been 2 for 9, 2 for 5, 2 for 8, 3 for 10 from 3. He's just a 3-and-D dude who's going to go out there and run into some steals as well. He averages over a steal per game. Useful stuff. Small forward, power forward eligibility makes some sense. I also think Spencer Dinwiddie is somebody that I want to be getting exposure to. Mikal Bridges, when you play alongside Devin Booker and Chris Paul, it's hard to know what your offensive talent level is going to be because, of course, you're going to be third, fourth fiddle. Ayton absorbed some usage there at times as well during his tenure there. We know how good of a defender he is. Now we're getting to see some of the offensive repertoire. He's just another dude. I find it hard to believe I'm going to get to 2 pieces from Brooklyn in any individual lineup. Maybe you try to force stuff like that because it is a Charlotte matchup. It's a nearly 230 total, which doesn't happen to Brooklyn every day in this current iteration. But Dorian Finney-Smith, anybody that's playing these massive minutes, I think you could just have fall into some lineups, and they're going to be extra, extra low owned based on the Orlando value that we just got to.
All right, I see we got a little super chat here, and we will loop back on that one for Mr. Cool Cam. He's looking for favorite pay-up options on FanDuel. Not to fear, we're going to hit some of those in coming up here and potentially in our next game, where we have the Portland Trailblazers in Orlando taking on the Magic. The Magic ruled out Willie Cauley, not Willie Cauley-Stein,
Michael Carter Williams.
I knew I should have wrote his name out because I did WCJ, and as soon as I said that, I started thinking Willie Cauley-Stein with Wendell Carter Jr. here with the sore hip, and then Gary Harris is out with an adductor issue. Franz Wagner tweaked his ankle in the last game, but he is playing today. So all of a sudden, Orlando's looking like one of our better value options. Portland is once again without Anthony Simons, Yusuf Nurkic, and then who cares about Ryan Arcidiacono? Portland does play tomorrow in Detroit.
Yep.
Is it Dame time tonight? Is Dame going to carry them? Is he doing everything he can? Does Dame attempt 23 pointers tonight?
I don't know, but that would be great. We've seen repeatedly him just chuck in the absence of Anthony Simons. Simons comes back, turns his ankle, he's out again. It's kind of a bummer for them because I really do like the combination of the two. Cam Reddish in that starting unit now again, coming off of playing pretty darn well here, 33 minutes in Atlanta. He played well. Everybody else played kind of like shit in that game, but he continues in that starting lineup here today alongside Matisse Thybulle. It's going to be a lot of Lillard and him, guys that make sense on the offensive end to be getting to. On this slate, really hard to click on a Drew Eubanks, even though he's projecting out decently well. It's just 4,100 sounds great, but you compare him to the other side of this one. I'm definitely going to prefer Mo Wagner, like I think most people are, but Dame is 11-7. I don't really care. Give me all of the high upside options. You have Giannis, you have Dame. And then, of course, you can get to an SGA, who I think is just the biggest wild card of this entire slate. I don't know what I want to do with him yet. Feels a little strange to try to make those kind of assumptions based on him being out for the last 5 games. I'm trying to decide what I want to do here as we get closer to lock. But like Damian Lillard and Giannis, I think we're going to see a big bump to their ownership just because it's so easy to get there now. You have Tyus Jones, Bassie, Mo Wagner. I want to get to lots of those two guys. So Damian Lillard, I think he projects out nearly 9 fantasy points more than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does for me. That is good enough to just get to lots of him.
Yeah, I agree. I've done my DraftKings lineups, so I ended up I won't be circling back to those. We're going to let her ride tonight. Damian Lillard is going to be in 25%. That's a little above the field where it is right now. I think the field's going to get up to about 35% would be my guess. But I think that was interesting. I see someone else in chat was saying, if you're going a 2 center lineup build, would you go? And this is why I wanted to bring this up. Would you go with Bassie and Wagner, or would you start to work somebody else in? For me, I ended up with Bassie at 60%, Wagner at 51%. I did goose Claxton because I decided I wanted a little bit more of him. I've got him at 44%. And then Walker Kessler was the casualty of that, though, only 3%. I think Walker Kessler is going to be a talking point here in that he's just missing out a little bit on that point per dollar, and he's going to get lost in the shuffle. So just keep that in part of the context here. Anything else you want to mention here from Portland? Cam Reddish, we've got Matisse Thybulle. These guys really are not going to be that big of a deal. Watford. And I'm blanking on the other fella's name who was our value play forever. Where'd he go? Eubanks. They're back to just being with everything else that popped up today. Moritz Wagner is. I
think what's hard for Eubanks is I don't see upside for 25, 26 minutes. I think that's been the most difficult part of me wanting to roster him, period, the last couple weeks. Has been it's just seemed as though once Jeremy Grant got back in there, they go to some of these really small lineups. They'll play Trendon Watford out there quite a bit to close once in a while too. I mean, he seems to be the guy that they want in that closing lineup when games are competitive. It's a tough spot for me to want to get to Drew Eubanks on this kind of a slate, but sometimes when you have those feelings and they're 4,100 and they're projecting out well, those are the times you're getting positive leverage. Like anything that isn't Bassie and Mo Wagner is going to be positive leverage at center. Would you project out well? Like it's just kind of the math of it. But I think I would rather go to the mid-range. I think I would rather go to Claxton, Kessler, to other pieces there at center. Xavier Tillman could end up being interesting with Brandon Clark out now as well. There could be extra minutes if Tillman gets out there, plays well. I think they're going to be more long-term. I think it's going to make more sense until Steven Adams gets there that they're just going to play Tillman out there for 30 plus minutes now instead of, they don't want to go to like a small 5 there. Jaren Jackson Jr. will probably be playing quite a bit of 5 there, but I'd rather go into like that mid-range section than try to take another cheapie like Eubanks for like 200 more than Bassie.
All right, hitting on the Magic in a little bit more detail. We've got a ton of Cole Anthony is really popping in our models. Mo Wagner is Franz Wagner. You're going to have to tap that thumbs up a little bit or set some slightly aggressive player caps before he starts to come in. These guys are all fine plays. Portland is kind of on defense at this point. Is there anyone you want to highlight in particular with this undulating news that we just got?
Yeah, I think Jalen Suggs just getting back in that starting lineup's the guy I want to start with because he's played really kind of average, I thought, in the last couple of games, and kind of strange that they just decide to pull the switch and go to him there. I think Cole Anthony was going to look good regardless. He's been coming off the bench all year long, so it really doesn't change anything for him. He still stands out for me. So just looking at the backcourt, Jalen Suggs was somebody that I would have had zero interest. I think he's definitely intriguing, 4,200 with the shooting guard eligibility. Him and Cole Anthony, do you want to play them in same lineups? I think you probably could run into them having some court time that they're sharing together. I don't think it's completely exclusive that I wouldn't want to have them together. I think Fultz is probably going to get backed up primarily by Cole Anthony. And then Jalen Suggs is just going to find his 30-ish minutes. If the game stays remotely competitive there, it shouldn't be a problem at 0.9 fantasy points per minute for him to fall into some of your lineups. And then Mo Wagner, I will say I'm a little bit uncomfortable out of all of the mega chalk pieces. I think Mo Wagner is the one that I'm the most willing to get away from. I think Bassi, pretty difficult for me to see a path, although I do have some Mamukashvili interest. We'll talk about him in a second. But Mo Wagner, I think at 3,400, I don't know, if you play 22 minutes there, they have a number of different ways that they could go to like Bol. They have, Caleb Houston, Okiki, if they want to play like a small ball five. Like this Portland team is the kind of team that if they go to Trendon Watford and they go to like a smaller five as well, that could just get Mo Wagner off the floor there in spots. Now, he's a fantasy point per minute guy. He's 3,400. That should qualm a lot of your disinterest, if you will. But if he doesn't go for 30, you don't want him in your lineup. So there's definitely a path where that isn't going to happen. I'm trying to get away from him a little bit more than I am. I'm more comfortable with the Bassi chalk. I think most people probably are, but I want to just reiterate that he's a really good play, but I'm probably going to be getting away from him more than I would be any Tyus Jones, who's just a lock, and then Charles Bassi, who's just a fantastic play.
All right. As we got that super chat question, I would say the three priorities on FanDuel, if I'm spending up, are going to be Giannis, Lillard. We've already hit on that. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. makes it, especially with power forward eligibility, even though he's at $8,000. We'll talk about that a little bit more. I think you want to give a thumbs up there to Walker Kessler to get him in. Mo Wagner is only power forward eligible. So at center, we're looking at center only plays as Claxton, Kessler, Şengün, Bassi, and Mark Williams. Kelly Olynyk lost power forward eligibility there. That hurts him. Which otherwise, I'd love to be looking at some Kelly Olynyk here as we move on to our next game. It's the Utah Jazz in Oklahoma City, reprisal of Friday night's game. OKC thrashed the Jazz 130-103. No Lauri Markkanen in this one. Colin Sexton still out with the hamstring. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is returning. Remember, he had, I can't think of he had strained something, missed 5 games. He's also coming out of the health and safety protocol. He ended up getting COVID while he was out. So it's been almost 2 weeks since he's played. Until we got unlimited value, it was a little bit of a stretch. If you think he's going to be back to full minutes, 35 minutes per game, he's going to project out for at least 50 fantasy points. That's what he's been hitting all season. Worst case, maybe he's a little lead-legged, a little tired, not ready for game speed, etc. I see 30 minutes. He could still get there in this matchup, and he shouldn't destroy you. In 30 minutes, he should still get 40 fantasy points. So what do you want to do here with this game? Take us through the Utah side. The Utah value suddenly just went out the window with all this other news.
Yeah, it was going to be a team that I was going to be highlighting quite a bit, and now I don't really give a flying F about them.
Jordan Clarkson, Taylor Tucker. It's like,
I think they're good lineup filler. Thank God we don't even have to think about a 5K Chris Dunn on this slate. That was never going to be a whole lot of fun. Because there's path for upside, I suppose. I think it's a terrible play today. But Jordan Clarkson, 7,300. Offensively, him and Kelly Olynyk are it. Taylor Horton Tucker, I think at 6,500, it's wild to say that I still think he's in play. He probably is to a certain extent there. But I'm definitely willing to get away from this team entirely now if you wanted to. The one guy I want to get to the most is Walker Kessler. And then Jordan Clarkson will just fill in a little bit. But Kelly Olynyk, he would have been a lot more intriguing and would have been the conversation point if we didn't have Orlando show up with value, if we didn't have Memphis show up with value, if we didn't have any of this, if John Morant could be a good human being, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Do good things. Let's do good things.
So that actually, in the interest of time, that kind of is the analysis for Utah. They moved out of the pole position, and they slid behind a couple unexpected, like Zach Collins sitting for the Spurs, and of course what just happened in Orlando. Again, these guys are now going to be less popular. They're still in a decent spot. They just have been, with they haven't had Colin Sexton for a while, and they've had a couple other injuries. Their salaries are kind of appropriate for what they are. The matchup is in their favor, and now suddenly they become nice tournament plays. It's just, how dysfunctional is this offense going to look? If you watch,
it could be bad.
Kelly Olynyk's up there trying to set high screens at the top of the 3-point line, waving the guards to try to go around.
My biggest problem is that like Damian Jones, I think, is going to play minutes. Rudy Gay, Fontecchio, Chris Dunn, Agbaji. They're just such offensive nothings. Like truly offensive nothings. Like if this game is going to be competitive, they're only 6-point dogs. It's a 235 total. Wouldn't you think Clarkson and Olynyk and Taylor Horton Tucker just have to be the dudes to do everything? I do, but they're in the mid range. They're at 5,800, 6,500, 7,300. You're not getting any kind of a nice discount. Whereas we have discount dandies all over the place, other places. So they're convenient pieces that when you're making a lot of lineups, they'll show up in things. I think in terms of priorities, Walker Kessler, just because I think he can be that contrarian centerpiece. I mean, the guy has like 5-7 block upside every single time he goes out on the floor. I mean, look at his blocks every single time. It is one of the dumbest stats. His block rate is out of control. He averages north of 2.1 blocks per game. That's pretty absurd stuff in the NBA in the year of our Lord 2023.
Yeah, he has multiple blocks in like 8 straight games. It's pretty crazy. He used one of my favorite words, discount dandies. I'm dropping the link into chat. That is from the DFS building blocks. I mentioned discount dandies in that article every day. You guys can get that for free. Also writing up a little bit of a free wager in there every day. Plus, it's got the links for No House Advantage, where you can get a deposit match up to $100 with your first deposit. You're going to want to check that out because they're really beefing up the versus the house contests, getting away a little bit from their GPPs. There's still some overlay there, but they've sort of seen the light, and they're branching out with quite a bit of their tech and giving more and more options there on the versus the house contest. Those would be the player prop cards. You build out 2, 3, 4, or 5 player questions. You get 5 right. It's 21x. That is the highest payout in the industry. You can peruse them. We have tools on our site here that allow you to quickly sort through everything. It's a pretty good deal over there, but if you come in through the link below us here in the YouTube chat, you will get a $100 deposit match with your first deposit. Those funds come out of your account first as you're playing through. So it's a lot of fun. They had I mirrored on one of the other sites, I mirrored the No House Advantage prop that Lofty had kind of built out on one of his shows. I think it went 5. Mine went 5x on mine, so I'm assuming his did as well. That's nice. That would have been 10 because you could. It was the guy with the significant strikes. I think it was John Jones, had more than half a significant strike.
Yep.
$5 or $10 would have been $210. So it's a pretty good payout. Mine was a little different on the other.
I can't talk about yesterday. Shevchenko, the only favorite to lose yesterday, and it was the one that I had the most of in everything, Rainmakers and DFS. I could not believe it. I just could not.
So here's the other fun one. Why you just I had one fighter that wasn't in any lineup. So I said, you know what? I'm going to build one lineup with this fighter. So I did a crunch.
Revis?
Locked that one. I can't even remember who it is now. So I made 45 lineups, threw it into my CSV upload. I saw that landed on the Negro Modelo promotion one. I got 4th, a unique 4th out of 18,600 people for $50. 2 more points, and I would have got a lifetime or 30 years worth of Modelo products.
You don't need that.
$10,000.
Also, that would be so wasted on you. You don't even drink.
I know, but it would be fun anyway, just to say you had lifetime.
Oh my God. Modelo. Unbelievable. How good do you run, EMac? How good do you run?
Good times.
Also, is nobody going to play Markelle Fultz? I'm starting to get a little Markelle Fultz in my life. I wanted to revisit one thing on Orlando just because it's thinned down. There's going to be opportunities for him to play low 30. I mean, he's played low 30s minutes like every game forever. One piece of Orlando I wanted to revisit. But anyway, back to OKC now because this is pretty quick. SGA. I think you take shots on it because I think he's owned as if we have uncertainty about minutes. He's sub 20%. He's 9,800. He's now sub 10K. We were paying 10-7, 10-8 for him for 60-point upside. If he plays 34 minutes, you're going to want him. If he plays 28 minutes, you're probably not going to want him. I don't know what to tell you. I have him projected for 32. We have him for 34.5 here at Stokastic. I think that either one of those are more than justifiable outcomes. You're just paying for that upside. I think the rest of the team is now priced in a place where they're borderline unplayable. If you want to try to take some Josh Giddey shots, we know what that expressed upside is. But I think OKC, 5 games off here for SGA. It was COVID. And, just basically, I don't want to say they were like making up an injury or anything, but I'm just saying that like abdominal strain was kind of a random.
Let's hit on that
hear.
for a second. Are they trying or are they not trying? Because they really can't be better than the 4th worst record, right? Because the 3 bottom teams that each get 14% in the lottery, right, they're locked into Houston, San Antonio, and Detroit. Done. No one's sliding down that far.
But Charlotte's, you don't want to risk it.
Slide.
Don't
Utah's
risk it.
Starting to slide. Yeah, why don't they could make the plan. They could get a little postseason experience. I think it would be a good thing for them. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Again, the only piece I have exposure to from this entire game is SGA. That's it. And I'm still deciding how much I want because he is one of those guys that you just have the salary for today. So why wouldn't you want to try to get access to him when he's sub 20%? But if he were to be a higher owned than that, I'd be really, really upset with myself. And I totally see the case for him playing 32 minutes. So like, I try to throw some of that opinion out the window, trust the projection, just move on with my day, have a little bit. He averages 35 minutes on the season. He could still smash in 32 minutes. Like that's not an unlikely outcome for SGA. The guy can score the ball at will. He's going up against Utah. It's a fast-paced matchup for both teams. Like it makes sense, but I'm not going to get carried away with it. I definitely don't see myself getting above the field. It's just a question of how much I want.
Yeah. I haven't run FanDuel yet, but I had to force Gilgeous-Alexander in, but I got him on 20%. So it's going to basically match the field. Jalen Williams with the Y, the center was looking like a decent play until we got Bassi and Wagner. You have Jalen Williams, the wing. You can get over assists, over 2.5. Looked like a pretty decent number. That was graded out well in the Stokastic projections. I will say, his last 5 games, wow, they look pretty good. There was no SGA, but he just needs 3 assists in what should be a relatively freewheeling game. I feel comfortable with that. That would be one I'd be willing to go over on no house advantage. Anything else from this game?
I don't think so. I saw Kelly Olynyk as center only on FanDuel. That sucks for you. I'm playing only DK today, 5,800 identical tag, but the power forward eligibility is so massive to be able to actually get to some. I'm not playing him in any center positions. If you're in Cruncher, I just changed it to power forward. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. It's just inherently the way my brain works, where it's like, I don't want to see Kelly Olynyk show up in any of my center positions, period, end of story.
Yeah, that's fair. I've actually done so any viable power forward / center combo on FanDuel. I have now made power forward only, just because I don't want to miss out on the centers.
Yeah, but if a power forward has access to be able to jump over there, you can still get that massive game. But you're going to get that center. One of them is going to just annihilate the slate, and you don't want to. You kind of don't want to bypass that. You'd rather rotate through the spinning wheel of power forwards, play power forward roulette than you would want to have them show up in the center spot because, again, there's going to be somebody who smashes there.
I like this. Curlfinger says these dudes are battling for naming rights. We've got the Williams, that would be the Jalen's, versus the Erics. Okay, there we go. I think we have the edge in DFS. I think they have the edge in most other things.
Yeah, and then literally everything else. No offense to myself. Probably not golf. We've got golf covered between you and me.
Yes,
we can get that done.
I'll carry the bag.
That's what I'm saying. You'd be a great caddy. You'd be fantastic.
All righty. Moving on. San Antonio and Houston. So we want to be Cognizant of this one. So this is, let me get I broke this down in the write-up in that free article. You guys ought to check these out. And then I circled back to update it once we had everybody in, or everybody's status and availability settled. So this is a rematch of last night's battle. The Rockets won in San Antonio 122-110. Rockets moved up from being 2.5-point favorites to 4.5-point favorites right now. We now know that Trey Jones, Jeremy Sohan, Zach Collins, and Dougie McBuckets are all out, along with Romeo Langford. People who are in: Keldon Johnson, Malachi Branham, Devontae Graham, Charles Bassey looks like a phenomenal option. And then the neutral options are Mamuka Lavilish and then Keita Bates-Diop. And then the wild cards, which we don't even need anymore, would be Dominic Barlow and Blake Wesley. So talk us through. We're gonna go with the Spurs side first here. Talk us through what you want to do with the Spurs. Bassey is clearly standing out. What else is there? Do you trust a Keldon Johnson, a Devin Williams, a Devin Vassell?
Oh, you're done now. I thought you were going to keep listing off people.
No, I realized I needed to take a breath and let you.
You're good. So Zach Collins out, Sohan out, Trey Jones out, McDermott out, Romeo Langford out. Going through the box score from yesterday, it's not a complete waste of time because, again, I think we're going to get some clues on what needs to happen. But from the San Antonio side, Bassey starting. So, I mean, this is just like an unfadable piece of this slate. If you're making one lineup and you're just saying, I will try to get different in something, go right ahead, but it is so hard to get away from it when you can play two centers on DraftKings. I just don't see any possible way. I mean, yesterday he only played 18 and a half minutes. He's going to play the Zach Collins role, I'm assuming 29 and a half. But what I do find interesting, again, Sandro Mamukashvili, there you go, played 16.2 minutes. He didn't check in there until the second quarter. Okay. Now, looking at their bigs, who else did they possibly have? Are they going to enter Gorgie Jang into the rotation here for today only? Like, otherwise, Mamukashvili is going to have an opportunity to play some minutes. Like, I think him, Barlow can really screw up a lot of the situation too. But like, I don't see anybody else at center. If they're going to keep Jang out of the rotation, then Mamukashvili has to be a good play at the flat 3K with power forward eligibility. I won't play him at a center spot. Again, he's one of those guys that I would click over. But I mean, looking at yesterday, if you give Gorgie Jang the Sandro role and you give Charles Bassey the Zach Collins role and you kind of move everybody up a level, I mean, I think there's at least 20-minute upside for Sandro in this spot. And at a flat 3K, he doesn't look like a good fantasy performer, but he's had opportunities in Milwaukee where he could perform from a fantasy perspective when he was absent everybody else. When you play alongside Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, you're not going to look good as a fantasy performer. We have never really seen him as a viable guy because some of those minutes are just going to be so backlogged across with those guys. He's playing on the Spurs now. So I'm at least taking some shots there. I know it seems really, really random, but having the power forward eligibility is huge for that. As far as the other pieces, the ones that matter more, Charles Bassey, 55% ownership makes sense. The rest of the team is pretty diluted. Devontae Graham's now a really good tournament option, 4,600. Shooting guard eligibility looks nice to me there. I'm getting above the field at 8.4% currently. But otherwise, the rest of the team, pretty easy to write off. I'm pretty much just playing a lot of Bassey like everybody else, getting to a little bit of Johnson, a little bit of over the field on Graham, and then the Sandro shot where it's just like, if he walks himself into extra minutes or if this game blows out randomly, he's probably the direct beneficiary.
No, I think those are all the main cogs to hit on here. There are players who can play in this game. It's not like while we have a whole bunch of people being out, it's not like Coach Popovich is going to run anybody into the ground. Same thing with Steven Silas, Jr. If we look at, it's just Steven Silas. If we look at, I was thinking Paul Silas. I got all. Yeah. Then Paul Pressey Jr. Yeah, so it went down. Players I had on basketball cards back in the day, well before the internet. So we've got it's hard to see a tremendous upside unless everything is clicking for them. I don't think we're going to see anybody besides KJ Martin play more than 32 minutes for the Rockets. That sort of now makes them a little bit unappealing here, especially coming off the back-to-back. And as you mentioned, if you go look at that box score, you can kind of see everybody but KJ Martin ended up playing right around 32 minutes tops. And then my concern with him would be, well, he just played 37 minutes last night. Is he going to go more than 32, 33 today? So it's a tricky spot. These are players I would not be sad when they're in my lineups. They're just not the priorities they looked like earlier today.
I love that analysis. Yeah, it's exactly the way I feel about it. I think Eason is about the only interesting guy from the team, and we have him currently projected for 26 minutes. Now, you give me 26 minutes of him, I think he's a great play in terms of 1.05 fantasy points per minute, still absent, at least a couple of guys here and there, but yeah, it is very, very hard for me to want to click on that over some of the other value that we have. So I'm below the field on pretty much every single member of this basketball team.
All right, a few super chats here to hit. Nicholas Barrett, would you go Cam Johnson or Franz Wagner? If money's not an issue, I would go with Franz Wagner. I'm ending up with probably about 50% of him on FanDuel. I did like that Cam Johnson PRA wager that I wrote up, but on that one, I think I'm going to lean Wagner. And then we'll get to Ace of Spades and his tiers question here. One for you here from Nicholas Barrett as well. Banchero or Kelly Oubre?
Banchero or Kelly Oubre? Got to be Kelly Oubre. And I think Banchero is all right. There's a price discrepancy. Is this DK?
Didn't say.
Okay. Because I'm on DK, there's a difference of how much. We've got Banchero's there at 7,200. Oubre's at, I guess it's not that far off, 6,900. I do prefer getting to Oubre shooting guard, small forward eligible. That's a little bit more valuable to me.
Alrighty. Let's see. Anything else you want to mention from this one?
Not really. I think Houston, again, Eason is going to be the only question you really have to figure out there. Everybody else is just kind of like, I'm making 150 lineups and here's a dart here. Here's a dart there. Şengün, Silas doesn't like him. So there you go. They're also trying to tank. That's pretty apparent. They're not trying to win basketball games. The guy has only played over 30 minutes once now in the last 7 games. So if you're not going to get any kind of those massive minutes, it's hard to give a center spot to Şengün today.
Yep. One more super chat. This is DK. Clarkson or Oubre? I would say Clarkson.
Yeah, Clarkson. I think Clarkson just has more upside. Well, actually, they both have equal upside, but $400 difference. I don't know. Let me pull this up. I've got them projected within a fantasy point and a half of each other. I mean, that's as close to a coin flip. I mean, if that money, that $400 goes towards something else, a new car, have fun with that.
A new car.
Oh, you really wanted, you laid into it. I appreciate that about you.
All right. While you're looking that up, I'm going to set up the tiers here real quick. I know these
tiers for fears
are very fun. Yes. Welcome to the big chair. Tier 1, that is going to, it's a tough one. If you think Giannis Antetokounmpo gets full run tonight, I would go that route. He did play last night. I want to say he played 37 or 38 minutes last night. He played 36 minutes. I would probably slightly lean Damian Lillard. Jason Tatum going to be an afterthought. We'll talk about Antetokounmpo and Tatum in a moment. Tier 3, it would be a coin flip for me. Kristaps Porzingis and Julius Randle. I would probably lean towards Julius Randle. Porzingis played 40 minutes yesterday. I'm surprised he was not scratched for this game. He's missed quite a few back-to-backs here and there, but let's see what happens. But that would lead me towards Randle. I did take the Randle under, I think it was as high as 28.5 for points. Yeah. When it looked like Barrett was going to be out, it looks like Barrett's probably going to be in. He's dealing with a sore foot, but I would go that route. Tier 3, I would probably take Drew Holiday, even though he did play yesterday. I like him better than Bradley Beal. Tier 4, Russell Westbrook or Terry Rozier. Now we're going to say Terry. Nope. Jaren Jackson Jr.
There you go.
Jaren Jackson Jr. That's an awesome play. He's my favorite player.
Also, just play him at power forward, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, Paolo Banchero is an easy tier 5. And then 6, we've got Oubre, Walker Kessler standing out, maybe a Keldon Johnson. I would lean towards Walker Kessler.
Yes, same. Walker Kessler, my Lord and Savior that is not on my Minnesota Timberwolves, and I want to punch things because I don't know. Tell me, who would you rather have for the next 5 years, him or Gobert?
Yeah, good times.
Hate myself. Hate my life. Hate all of you.
Did you find what you were looking up, or?
No, I was looking up some other things. I was getting some stuff updated so I don't have to do it later, and I can give
perfect
people good analysis and not
then
suck.
I will tee you up. We've got 19 minutes to go. 3 games left. The New York Knickerbockers in Boston taking on the Celtics. 6.5-point underdogs here. Brunson still questionable with a sore foot. Boston will be without Robert Williams. I think he's going to miss at least 4 games, if I read that correctly. At least a week there with the hamstring. Brogdon was still questionable last I saw. And then Boston coming off that historic collapse. Was that on Friday? I've lost track of all points of reference here.
Oh, I don't know, but I had Brooklyn plus 11.5, and then they ended up winning outright. So such is life. Win 6-2 on Friday. No big deal. I don't hate all of you, Michael Knack. No, I do not hate you all. I was joking.
Jaylen Brown available. Brogdon still questionable. Sore ankle. Brunson still questionable with the foot.
Okay.
Take us through this one. I don't think I have anybody in my DFS portfolio from this game.
Oh, I do from this game. Okay. Oh yeah. Jason Tatum.
Okay.
We got to get to Jason Tatum. I mean, we have all the money and all the land, and he's small forward eligible. So like he gives you a spot and access.
I got
to something
10% on FanDuel. That's okay. It. Or I mean on DraftKings, 10% Tatum. That's the only person from.
Yeah, I'm only playing DK. Julius Randle, again, you got to find the dudes. If you're going to be spending the salary for them, you just find the dudes with tons of upside. You get yourself up there. You find access to be able to get to some of it. Now, we're still waiting on Jalen Brunson. That would be Emmanuel quickly 4,700. That would be a lot of fun. He has quickly vaulted into that 6th man. I think he's the favorite now to win that award. Pretty wild stuff. I think Josh Hart, too, would be a little bit more intriguing if you got Jalen Brunson. Everybody becomes more intriguing if Jalen Brunson sits. So we're sitting on that news. I haven't seen anything clear-cut about that yet, but you want to make sure you're by your computer because this team is not very interesting in its current iteration. You just basically are playing the upside of a Julius Randle. If you got RJ Barrett or Mitchell Robinson or Jalen Brunson to show up in a lineup or two, so be it. But otherwise, it's just impossible to get to anything at the moment. If you take Jalen Brunson off the floor, give me a lot of it going up against Boston.
I had to goose him here on FanDuel in order to get him, but I will get to Jason Tatum here.
Okay. Well, I know Jason Tatum's my favorite play from the game by far. I think it should be most everybody's. Him and Jaylen Brown, I think, just makes sense as guys to fill out your lineups with. 10-6, we get access to another high upside, can go for 60 type dude. We have the money to spend. We have cheapies everywhere. I think Jason Tatum ends up being the lowest of the 3. And currently him and Lillard have pretty similar projections. There are the people who are the Tatum people. We all know who they are. I'm not generally a Tatum person when it comes to like playing DFS and getting to lots of him because Jaylen Brown is just there. But today, small forward eligible, you can get access to that kind of a build. He's 10-6. I have some builds with him and Giannis just all over the place. I'm well north of this 17% that we currently have projected for him. Him, Lillard, Giannis, I have a path. It's a pretty easy path to get to overweight on every single one of them. And then Jaylen Brown, another dude who we know what that upside can be, 50, 60-point upside from Jaylen Brown. I don't want to be giving up guys like that on this slate when they have the shooting guard, small forward eligibility, and I have the money. The rest of the team we can write off and say goodbye to, but otherwise, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, pretty easy to get to today, in my opinion.
Anything else?
No. Knicks, pay attention to that news. It really matters.
All right. That gives us 2 more games. This is our second 7:30 game. You've got the Milwaukee Bucks at Washington. Washington played yesterday afternoon. Milwaukee played last night. Their 16-game winning streak was kiboshed there by Philly. We've got Chris Middleton out for rest. Giannis is playing as far as we know. Kuzma is out. Monte Morris is out. Denny Abdi, questionable stomach issue. He left midway through the game, did not return yesterday. I was a little surprised to see that Porzingis was not rolled out and Bradley Beal was not rolled out. I don't think they're going to be playing super heavy minutes tonight just because everybody, it seems like on the Wizards has been hurt at some point this year. Mm-hmm. Giannis, Bobby Portis, remember me game. He hasn't been dusted off in a while. His salary's up there on a lot of the sites. Doesn't feel great. Drew Holiday, maybe. What do you like here from the Bucks aside from Giannis?
Yeah, Giannis 12-4 on other slates. We haven't been able to get there because it's all the way up there. Oh, we got PJ Washington in that starting lineup. Was he starting last game? Or he didn't even play last game. Yeah, he was still out. So just wanted to point that out. Well, I'll revisit that one in a second. But Giannis, 25% ownership. I'm north of that. I'm north of every single stud on this slate in our current projections. Pretty easy to get there. We could have extra value showing up from the Knicks side. We have Orlando. We have Memphis. We have pieces that we can get to that are super, super cheap. Spurs, Charles Bassey, like Giannis shouldn't be as cost prohibitive to get to. And there's no Chris Middleton. So you're back to that early season form we had for Giannis, where he was going for a bajillion fantasy points day in, day out. I saw somebody put Javon Carter into the atmosphere. I don't see it. Maybe. I mean, him starting, he's had some upside in some spots. He is sub 4K. That would just be like a lineup filler type piece. No way a priority whatsoever. And Drew Holiday, I'm kind of surprised that he's completely written off in terms of our projection on him. If you're trying to get different, like if you're just trying to find one piece, if you're chalky everywhere else, I can see getting to some Drew Holiday because I do think 50 without Chris Middleton alongside of him is something that's in play. But yes, very, very unlikely. Giannis, definitely the only priority I have from Milwaukee.
All right. Jordan Goodwin is somehow sliding into my FanDuel. He's 3,700. We have for 17. No, it doesn't at all. Yeah, I'm every lineup I build from here on out he's not in my player pool.
Well, yeah, gone. There's no Kuzma, right?
There's no Kuzma, no Monte Morris, Kendrick. Wait, which one? Kendrick Dunn, Chris Dunn, whichever Dunn or none, whichever one's on the 10-day contract with the Wizards, not to be confused with the one that's on the 10-day contract with Utah.
Kendrick Nunn. There we are.
Don't play them either. Yeah, the Wizards are just a hot mess this year.
Yeah, but they're really fantasy viable today. I think Denny Avdia, I mean, I feel like I say this every single slate because Denny Avdia is just that guy that people forget about. And then he's always popping in our boom bust tool. And you should just find ways to get to a guy who's small forward, power forward eligible. Again, getting access to somebody like him as your one piece of differentiation away from other chalky lineups really looks good. He is the actual top projected guy in terms of the boom bust. Now, I don't think he ended up in that starting lineup. So I think that we're projecting him out of the starting lineup. So that top, what is it? Like the leverage score, it went from around 15% optimal to around 7.5% optimal. Still positive leverage, still unlikely that he would get there for you in that kind of a capacity, but somebody to at least have your eye on as a piece to get to. I mean, just the chalk is so good today that it's difficult to make a case to say prioritize him. But I feel like every single slate like this, I want to find paths to get to overweight on him. Now, Delon Wright is kind of the interesting one. He's pulling nearly 15% ownership. He went completely berserk, but they are just giving him a boatload of minutes in some of these spots. We've seen mid 30s and then 40 minutes there against Toronto on, what was it, yesterday? It was yesterday on Saturday. Does he just go around and play 35 again here today? If he does, you kind of want him at 4,900 as another piece to be overweight too. Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis makes some sense to get there too.
Agreed. I'm wearing my Wizards hat I got when I got to go sit in a Wizards box when I first moved out here. It was fun. Fun. Everybody got hats that's out there. It's like
who was the best player in 1948 when you moved there?
When they were still the Baltimore Bullets?
Yes.
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
It's all right. Your memory's fading. I understand.
Hey, at least I knew they were still the Baltimore Bullets.
That's true. That's true. The bit can live on forever.
All right. I will say, Delon Wright is the one guy that ended up in some of my lineups here. So he and both DraftKings and FanDuel, I'm getting around 20%. I'm okay with it. He's a competent guard. We've seen him, perform well. He had a nice run in Dallas. He was one of the third guards at Toronto for a while. He's just kind of floated around. Wasn't super great. I think with Atlanta, it was a little dicey. Yep. But when he gets playing time, he's fully competent. And pretty solid. So
that's kind of what they say about me on shows when he's there. Yeah, that's the nicest compliment I can get paid. Eric was fully competent today.
10 minutes. Let's hit this last game here. The Grizzlies, the Clippers. And I've got, oh God, we got some more super chats here. Top five, let's do real quick. Top five FanDuel options. I would say Mo Wagner, Charles Bassey, Jaren Jackson are three. That takes care of your front court. Probably Lillard. I'd find a way to get Lillard in there. I'd probably go with Tatum or Antetokounmpo at small forward. And then I guess Tyus Jones. I just say I guess because he's going to project for about 30, 35 fantasy points. He's 6,000. FanDuel preemptively priced him up. Yahoo did as well. I think he's 20 there. He's a good play. He's not a lock button play. I don't know that I'd want him in cash.
There you go. And James Magruder there. Are there any locks for DK 20 max tournament? Tyus Jones lock. I have a ton of Desmond Bane. We'll get to that game here next, or coming up shortly here. Charles Bassey's close to it.
Take us through that. Let's transition into
let's do it. That. All right. So we've covered the first six. This last game is 2.5 hours after. We just assumed that John Morant out. We're going to just plug in Tyus Jones. He's starting. He's always started in these spots. We just jam him here. I think what's interesting to talk about with Memphis is what else outside of Tyus Jones, Jaren Jackson Jr., or Desmond Bane is plausible here. Those three, I'm overweight to all of them. I think they're fantastic plays. Tyus Jones, I have locked. Jaren Jackson Jr., I have nearly 50% of, and Desmond Bane, I'm around 40%. So I'm north, double the field on the other two. What happens without Brandon Clark out here going forward? Because I don't know. Like Santi Aldama makes sense as somebody to maybe get shots on, but like, if you don't get the backup right here, like, are you missing out on that much considering how much value we have in the earlier session of games? I don't really think so. So I'm not trying to actively get to anything else. I think Xavier Tillman is probably the guy that I'm the most intrigued by. And I alluded to that a little bit earlier. I think he could walk into like 32, 34 minutes a night. Like that is something that is possible. One, you've got the chance of Steven Adams coming back soon. So like you just ride him into the ground. And two, I just don't see Conchar, Aldama, Jake LaRavia would be another guy. Like I don't really see another big that's that serviceable for them. So I think their best case scenario is just let him play a ton and let the chips fall where they may. Because without Brandon Clark there, you're athletic 4-5. I guess he was playing just backup center to Tillman at that point in time. I think that Tillman probably just gets the majority share now. So I am pretty invested in Tillman over the 6% that we have.
No, that is a good call. I've got 36% Tillman on FanDuel. I ended up with 42% Luke Kennard. That's terrifying.
Oh my God.
We ride or we tweak.
I have no Luke Kennard. I will throw that
I'm going to be
there.
tweaking that after lock.
Okay.
But I've got 80% Tyus Jones and I've got 80% Jaren Jackson. So I'm this game is well represented, or this side is. Russell Westbrook, going back to his last 15 starts as an NBA point guard, his team has lost every game.
It's unbelievable.
This is a prove it moment. I would take the points with Memphis, even though they're down this many players.
There you go. I mean, Tyus Jones, one of the best serviceable backups, and we know the record from last year that they've had without John Morant. They've still been a really good basketball team. I mean, obviously you're going to miss John Morant. He's very special, but I do not see anything I want to deal with in this game. I think 7's about perfect for a spread. I still like Kawhi. I like Paul George as pieces to get to. Once again, theme of the show, stars and scrubs, getting to some of these top end guys, getting over the field. Now, Russell Westbrook, 7,200 for him here. I think the minutes continue to go down at some point. He played 36 against Sacramento in that close one. He played really, really well out the gate. Still didn't find a way to get it done. But I'd just much rather get to Lillard as a spend up there at the top, get to some other options that are not Russell Westbrook on this kind of a day. Oh, Denny Avdia, game time decision Sunday. That is fascinating because, I mean, what are they going to do? They wouldn't have Kuzma, Avdia, probably going to be Kispert playing a lot of those minutes. Kendrick Nunn might play a little bit more. I don't see a need to try to make that a shot today. Anthony Gill probably gets the majority of those minutes. That's a weird thing to say, but it's probably true.
All right. I'm uploading my lineups now. Are you
Yeah, I'm good. I got
all set. Excellent. Just put a little randomization
Westbrook
on this.
face, yeah.
Yeah, it's Kendrick Nunn. I got to get Luke Kennard. I got to get off. Why did he end up with? I was trying to remember today why he ended up with such a big contract in free agency after they plucked him from Detroit. I could not.
I don't know. You don't know the secrets that the players know.
Probably not. FanDuel upload is successful. There we go. We're good.
That's great.
All right. Let's see if we missed any super chats. I want to remind everybody, we talked a little bit about No House Advantage. We gave you some picks throughout the show there. Go in through the link below us and you'll get $100 deposit match on your first deposit. We also have a BetMGM promo. That one's pretty good. You get 1 free month of Stokastic. You need to come in through our link. This is how it works. You got to be logged into your Stokastic account. You don't have to have an active subscription, but you got to be logged into your Stokastic account. You go on over through the link and you create your BetMGM account. That they know then that you came from us. You put in at least $10. You make your first wager. Once it settles, up pops a little promo code that gives you 30 free days of Stokastic. If you miss the pop-up, don't worry. It's going to be in your little BetMGM email box or your Insight email box there. You'll be able to get to it. But you got to come in through our link. If you don't, then you don't get the 30 free days. Your first wager has bet insurance on it up to $1,000. So if you just do the $10, if you lose, they're going to give you a $10 bet credit. You can go up to $1,000 and you will get bet credits. I lost on that one, Eric. So we talked about this before. Then I got 5 $200 credits.
Mm-hmm.
I made about 700 back, so it wasn't too bad. People were calling me the Karen of customer service because I was discussing with FanDuel. I was supposed to have a risk-free bet there. I nicely spoke to them, got escalated up the chain, didn't lose my shit, and they gave me $1,000 I could use however I wanted on their sportsbook. I had 7 days to use it, but they agreed that they could see where it messed up. I was nice. I did not go crazy, and they were kind as well.
Adam could never pull off such a thing.
Oh, he's too mean. He's too mean. But so I just want to give everybody that resolution. So the blue side, we're back on speaking terms. But jump on over there into BetMGM. We've got all sorts of goodness. It's a good time. We are about 3 minutes away from lock. Gastrointestinitis for Abdia is what they're saying.
Yeah, he's not going to play. So just take him out. That sucks.
Did you want to mention anything about Washington? The Hornets,
yeah, I think it's going to be. I just gave Anthony Gill some more minutes. I gave Kendrick Nunn a couple minutes. I gave just some randos some minutes. Nothing that's going to be fantasy viable.
Yeah, sorry, Washington as in PJ. For the Charlotte
Hornets. PJ Washington, he's not playable on DK for me. I don't know what to make of the minutes, but he's 6,600. That's not good enough today. I'd rather. I have Kelly Olynyk projected for more. I have Jabari Smith projected for more. I had Tari Eason projected for more, and they're just way cheaper.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if I ended up with any on FanDuel here. No, I ended up with 2 lineups on FanDuel with players from Charlotte, Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. Wow, I'm highly concentrated tonight. I probably shouldn't have played on multiple sites while doing the show. But there we are.
Just be ready to quickly get to some quickly in the event that you get who ruled out. Yeah.
All right. We are not staying on for an extra 30 minutes. And since we did cover the No House Advantage wagers throughout the show, I want to talk a little bit about the lineup generator since we didn't get to that. So we're going to take a quick breath here, but this is one of the cool new features that we have. It's available. It's a standalone product. You can get it with any Stokastic subscription, or you can get just the lineup generator. Your first week is half off. So it's just about $4.50. It's just under $9 per week. After that, you can create any kinds of lineups that you want. What this does is it's using all of the Stokastic player projections, the ownership projections. It's simulating all these contests, and then it's creating only plus expected value lineups, meaning it's only positive lineups that have winning have a chance at winning or at cashing. So it's getting rid of all the riffraff. This is a pretty cool deal. You're not just pushing a button. You choose for your main site. You choose, do you want a balanced lineup? Do you want a contrarian lineup? And then it's like the Tinder, right? You get to keep, or you get to swipe right or discard one of the, or any of the lineups. You can hold up to 20 lineups in your little save section, and then you can download that as a CSV, copy it right into your DraftKings or FanDuel, your site, DFS site of choice, and upload it from there. You see certain players you don't want in your lineups, you can cross them out. You love a lineup, but you're unhappy with the player, you can hit that and bring in a new player. So this is something that saves you time, as does most of the Stokastic processes here. I know people can do, it's so expensive here. It is, but if you look at it, what is it, like $3 a day? For me, it's $1 a day to get in Discord and goof around. That's fine. $1 a day for projections. That's pretty good as well. And then $1 a day just to dabble in all these random sports. That's worth it for me, right? Think of how many, that's a cup of coffee, right? How many people are like, oh, I'm going to, what are they, DoorDash and Grubhub and all of that, and paying for convenience. This is saving you time. You don't get more time. So I'm in.
You don't get more time. So true.
That's it.
Never get more time.
Tinder is a cringer for the older folks. Yes, I am so glad I'm not doing date. I can't even do, I couldn't think about that. Thank God I've been with my wife for like 15 years. So
I know. Jalen Brunson ruled out. Emmanuel Quickly season is in effect. Get to a ton.
That just happened?
Yep.
All right.
And Julius Randle looks freaking awesome now too.
Now I wish I wouldn't have taken the under on his points.
Yeah, no, you're in a deep, deep amount of pain.
Rats. But there we are. All righty, everybody. That's going to do it for us. Thank you to Mike Lawrence for producing. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. I am at EMac DFS. It is Stokastic_COM. It all starts again tomorrow, 6:30, with Josh Engelman in the process on this very channel. And tune into the new show, The Odd Shop, over there on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel every Monday through Friday, 4 to 5. That's a lot of fun. I've listened to a couple of them. That's during prime work time for me, but I've listened to a couple of them later that night just because I wanted to see what you guys were up to. It's a pretty good show. But with that, we're going to get on out of here. Good luck, gamers.